In my research for preserving our gains, what I've looked at a lot is what I call the psychological black tax. And that basically is, in my focus groups and my in-depth interviews, I found that there's a response that African Americans often have to what we call microaggressions. And microaggressions can include slights from coworkers. It can include being followed around a store when you're there shopping with the storekeeper assuming that you're a shoplifter. A microaggression could include a black driver being pulled over for no reason by a state police person simply because they are African American. A more major type of aggression has to do with segregation in housing, so that there's still what we call de facto segregation, where it may be very difficult for an African American family to buy within a certain predominantly white area. And that in turn can lead to just a depreciation of assets around housing. Often what my research has shown, and other people's research has shown this as well, is that often the major asset that African American families own is their housing. But because of segregation in house selling practices, it can be hard to have a house that actually it appreciates with time or that gains in value. So there's all these complicated sorts of issues that can lead to not having as many assets as white families do. And then in terms of the psychological black tax, there can be a tendency to sometimes overspend as a way of comforting oneself. Another thing that can happen in the work environment is that, again, because the opportunities are not really equal for minority colleagues versus majority colleagues, there's a kind of tendency for minority colleagues to work very, very hard to make themselves what they think of as presentable. So it could be, in my research, I've seen that people feel that they've got to buy designer suits and they've got to look really, really great within organizations. And they spend this extra money to look good, and yet it really may not have the effect that they're hoping for because there's still an unequal playing field within organizations. So these and many other factors can lead to either overspending or having assets that do not gain in value over time as compared with white colleagues.